This is Nationwide, coming to you from the network service of the Nigerian Television Authority. I am Lami Ali. President Muhammadu Buhari warmly felicitates with men, particularly in Nigeria, as the world celebrates another International Men's Day, which thoughtfully places the spotlight on health issues, modeling and leadership roles, sacrifices, and other multi-layered responsibilities of men, which include respect for women. In a statement, the president reiterates the pivotal role of men in ensuring a safe, peaceful and progressive environment, given their visible positions in families, governments, communities and leadership in religious, traditional and political institutions. While recognizing the strong, influential and significant position of women in building the nation over the years, with evidence in their rising profiles, the president specially urges men to be guided in protecting and promoting democracy in Nigeria by ensuring full participation in the forthcoming elections in 2023, adhering to regulations of the electoral body, the Independent National Electoral Commission, and exploring redress in courts. On the theme of this year's IMD, Men Leading by Example, President Buhari calls on men to take the front row in safeguarding and protecting national assets and shun acts of violence like targeting of the offices and stores of the electoral body, which only adds to the cost of governance and projects the country as unstable. President Buhari believes every citizen's voice and vote matters in the choice of Nigeria's leadership and governance, and urges men in the country to provide the needed example of decency and decorum and mobilize for the greater good of nation building. The president also commends the local organizing committee of the IMD for setting an agenda for the 2023 elections and remaining faithful in sensitizing men to be more patriotic, responsive and inclusive in decision-making at home and in public. The turbaning of Ambassador Lawal Kazauri as the Damasanin Kazauri in Jigawa State attracted dignitaries from all walks of life, including the Vice President Yemi Oshibajo. The Emir of Kazauri, His Royal Highness Alhaji Najib Hussein Adamu, described Lawal Kazauri as a philanthropist and humanitarian who has greatly affected the lives of the people of Kazauri.
To the people, many times people will approach him to favor him with one thing or the other. What Lawal did was to direct these favors to the cause of the people. He has caused a number of wells to be sunk for people who are deprived of water. He has helped build hospitals in terms of equipment. He has helped so many young men to be gainfully employed.
The Damasanin Kazauri also gave out his daughter in marriage in a double celebration, which saw Governor Muhammad Badaru Abubakar acting as the representative of the bride family. The governors of Kano, Katsina and Yobe also attended the twin events. The Ministry of Defense is proposing about 32.7 billion naira in the 2023 fiscal year, as submitted by the Minister of Defense, Major General Bashir Salih Magashi, during the Budget Defense at the Senate. National Assembly correspondent Mobolaji Moribiring reports.
The federal government has been up to the task of providing adequate funds to the Ministry of Defense in actualizing its statutory mandate. The Minister of Defense is before the Senate to defend its 2023 budget and to review the 2022 performance.
The sum of 32,729,100,000 171,424 naira only was proposed for the ministry's 2023 budget. 15,465,364 is for the capital expenditure.
The increase in the proposed capital expenditure caught the attention of the lawmakers.
All these people that are purchasing rich public projects purchase similar equipment, and then also ministries also purchase similar equipment. And it's duplication of effort.
I would want to recommend that this committee verify if similar provisions have been made under the Ministry of Education or under the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs, so that we can be well guided in approving this provision.
Actually, there is no duplication. In as much as we did not initiate it, it didn't come under our envelope, we did not include it. We believe from our consultation with Minister of Finance, they found out that this project has been in the Ministry of Education. And they realized that this project should actually be in Ministry of Defense because they are product of insurgencies.
Afterwards, the committee dissolved into an executive session to discuss other security matters. From the National Assembly, Mobolaji, Moribiri, NTA News.
We now go to Sharm el-Sheikh in Egypt, where COP27 is scheduled to wrap up in hours, but countries remain divided on several significant issues, including loss and damage. United Nations Secretary-General Antonio Guterres is therefore urging parties to rise to the urgency of the moment and agree on real solutions to solve the greatest challenge facing humanity. Onengie Fineface has the report.
The world is facing existential threats of climate extremes, with devastating floods, rising temperatures, heat waves, melting glaciers, and ocean warming, as well as droughts, plunging millions into food crisis. COP27 is tagged the cup of implementation, where action is the mantra. But divisions and the lack of political will are causing a breakdown in trust between developed and developing nations. As negotiations draw closer to the final hours, United Nations Secretary-General calls for a consensus for action on loss and damage, climate finance, and keeping 1.5 degrees Celsius alive.
The most effective way to rebuild trust is by finding an ambitious and credible agreement on loss and damage and financial support to developing countries. The time for talking on loss and damage finance is over. We need action.
COP27 President Sameh Shoukry is worried that mitigation work program is yet to reach the desired outcome. Adaptation is still held back by procedural matters. Ambitious outcomes on finance have not yet materialized. And on loss and damage, parties are shying away from taking the difficult political decisions.
While some of the discussions were constructive and positive, others did not reflect the expected recognition of the need to move collectively to address the gravity and urgency of the climate crisis.
He urges parties to go the extra mile, take the necessary steps to reach the much-needed conclusions and agreements. In Sharm el-Sheikh, Egypt, Onengie Fineface, NTA News.
The bond that exists between Nigeria and China has again been strengthened with the launch of the Contemporary World Nigeria by the International Department of China and the Institute for Peace and Conflict Resolution. Charles Alpha reports that the organization seeks to uphold peace, a win-win cooperation, and a shared future for both countries and Africa.
The world today is undergoing profound changes unseen in the century, with war, climate change, food shortages, and disease constantly staring at the faces of world leaders as they battle for solutions. In Africa, clannish war, communal clashes, boundary disputes, political and social divides rock the continent. the Contemporary World Nigeria magazine, simultaneously launched by the Nigeria's Foreign Affairs Minister Geoffrey Onyema in Abuja and the Chinese Vice Minister of the International Department in Beijing, seeks to strengthen existing relations between the countries in a bid to address common challenges while upholding peace and harmony between the two countries and Africa.
This magazine is about the idea, is about solution, is about the belief, opinion. So we believe that is very, very important. We are taking the lead in the whole African continent.
The magazine features global development initiatives, China-Africa Global Climate Governance, Africa Free Trade Area Construction, and China-Africa Cooperation.
There's a commonality, terrorism in particular. And so the launching of this magazine is also, a way to also make their contribution in the search for peace and security.
China is launching the magazine for the first time outside its shores after Nigeria warded off 6 other nations to have its own launch. Charles Alpha, NTA News.
Now, members of the House of Representatives in the Third Republic have resolved to work only for the victory of a presidential candidate that will address challenges facing the country in the 2023 general election. This was as the commemoration of the forum's 29th year anniversary in Abuja. John Yaku has the details.
These are members of House of Representatives in the Third Republic of Nigeria's democracy. They are not here for any plenary but to look at issues affecting them and to chart a way forward.
And then we were resolved. We have been meeting since that time just to familiarize ourselves, visualize ourselves, and certain things that belong to us come to us.
One of them, who was Deputy Speaker in the Third Republic, is now a presidential candidate of the new Nigeria People's Party, NNPP, Rabiu Kwankwaso.
All the issues, there are some issues, especially some of the allowances and so on, or our allowances that we are not being paid. And these were legitimate requests. But over the last 30 years, nobody was even listening to them. And these are some of the issues that we have to sort out.
Many of his colleagues are happy to have their own as a candidate in the forthcoming presidential election.
I can at any moment go to him because I know him and he knows me.
And you must recognize that we were in the House of Representatives 5 years ago. Our constitution factors that qualify a person to become the president of Nigeria are not mundane.
They promise to carry the message to their wards because of the trust they have in him. In Abuja, John Yaku, NTA News.
The myriads of challenges faced by many countries of the world can be addressed through effective collaboration of civil society organizations with the governments. This was part of the remarks by the United Nations coordinator in Ghana as the launch of West Africa Civil Society Institute in Nigeria. Austin Anyebe reports.
West Africa Civil Society Institute is contributing to the development and upscaling of the civil society groups in West Africa. It is dedicated to the development of capacity building of civil service in the West African region, covering Ghana, Nigeria, and Guinea-Bissau. The emphasis on the need for the node in Nigeria is for empowerment of women and youth. The United Nations coordinator in Ghana, Charles Abani, said so much has happened since 2020 when COVID-19 broke out across the globe, requiring the contribution of the civil society groups to survey the situation.
There was already a gap before 2020. That gap is widening significantly, compounded by climate impacts, compounded particularly in this sub-region by conflict issues, growing violent extremism, and a sense in which we're not one.
The presence of the West Africa Civil Society Institute in Nigeria will also strengthen civil society organizations in order to change the narrative of democracy in West Africa.
The region is at a crossroad, and for Nigeria, the 2023 elections would pose a key test of the strength of the country's democracy. Civil society in Nigeria has a significant role to play in responding to these challenges. Nigeria's position in Africa's geopolitics cannot be underestimated.
Ultimately, your bulwark of support might actually also come from leaders of civic organizations outside of your immediate geographical boundary.
With the launch in Nigeria, civil society actors will begin to enjoy support in the area of capacity building, among others. In Abuja, Austin Anyebe, NT News.
From time to time, the judiciary, like every other sector, reviews its rules to ensure conformity with the subsisting reality of the society in order to maintain law and order. The Customary Court of Appeal in the Federal Capital Territory has amended its civil procedure rules to guide judicial officers, legal practitioners and litigants who approach the courts for justice. Olabode Arewa reports.
Under the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, 1999, as amended, a customary court and its court of appeal shall exercise original jurisdiction over issues pertaining to chieftaincy matters and disputes relating to traditions and customs. Arising from a recent review of the templates used in reaching judicial decisions and the need to adapt to new trends like information and communication technology, the Customary Court and the Court of Appeal of the Federal Capital Territory have presented their amended rules on civil procedure to the public. Acting President of the Court, Justice Stanley Adekunle Lawal, says lessons learned from the COVID-19 pandemic influenced some of the items in the amended guidelines.
This came with the need to amend the rules of practice at both the FCC Customary Court of Appeal and the Lower Customary Court to, among other novel innovations, provide for electronic means of interface between the court and the court users.
The gains of the plastic direction further propelled the need to incorporate some of its provisions in the rules of court, thereby necessitating an amendment of the extant rules so as to recognize electronic ways of conducting the business of the court.
An expanded edition of a law report detailing past judgments of the two customary courts was also presented to members of the public. In Abuja, Olabode Arewa, NTA News.
This is Nationwide on the network service of the NTA. We'll now join our Lagos studios where Michael is standing by. It's over to you, Michael.
Thank you, Lami. Discussions are ongoing towards the licensing of the available toolers and the 3.5 gigahertz mid-band spectrum for the rollout of 5G services in Nigeria. The Federal Ministry of Communications and Digital Economy and the nation's Communications Regulatory Agency, NCC, is engaging stakeholders in Lagos to facilitate the bidding process. Kenya DBC reports.
The Nigerian communications market no doubt remains one of the biggest in Africa and considered the largest contributor to the information and communication technology sector of the Nigerian economy. Nigeria's population stands at 214 million, with an average growth rate of 2.6% annually. Arising from the significant increase in broadband penetration in Nigeria, it has therefore become necessary to move to the next phase of global development of the sector, given the opportunities that abound for all stakeholders in the industry and the economy. The regulatory agency is facilitating collaboration strategies in the process of deepening broadband penetration to encourage fair competition in the rollout of 5G services in Nigeria by auctioning the available lots in the 3.5 gigahertz spectrum brand.
We must be seen to be doing this in a manner that is open, transparent, and credible, so that in the final analysis, we can have an information memorandum that is a reflection of the aspirations of all critical stakeholders in the industry before implementation.
This engagement is also working to ensure timely release of spectrum band necessary for 5G deployments to the industry to fast-track development of Nigeria's digital economy to foster national growth.
Before any auction or rollout of 5G, there's a clear need to define the spectrum mass applicable to these 5G deployments for in-band and adjacent band.
In case of any unforeseen failure, we made provision for manual auction.
The auction method is expected to be transparent to open opportunities for new entrants as well as deepen competition in the telecommunication industry in the country. In Lagos, Kende Adebisi, NTA News.
Road traffic crashes are not accidents per se, as they are preventable if appropriate actions are followed by every individual. This was echoed by speakers at the 2022 World Day of Remembrance for Road Traffic Victims, organized by the Federal Road Safety Corps Lagos State Command. Dana Jale reports that the theme for this year is justice.
Abdul Wahab Matepo is an accident victim whose wounds constantly reminds him of the pains he went through.
If the driver knows that he will not just jump from that accidented vehicle and pick another vehicle tomorrow, then he will be very careful on the road.
Every day, someone is killed or injured on the road. And this global incident is also applicable to Nigeria, including a metropolitan city like Lagos.
Our response time is not only effective, it's adequate.
Time for us to support the FRSC to achieve their objective of reducing the carnage on the road.
According to the Federal Road Safety Corps, between January and October 2022, about 412 persons have been killed, with 522 seriously injured in 520 reported cases of road traffic crashes in Lagos State alone.
Not just the driver alone.
This gathering by the Federal Road Safety Corps, Lagos State Command, and stakeholders is therefore to remember road crashes victims while educating road users to be safety conscious.
This advocacy also seeks for better support for road traffic victims and victims' families, as well as promote evidence-based action.
The slogan, remember, support, act, is seeking to ensure legal sanity in traffic law.
In his message to the event, Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu represented said Lagos State has put in place a robust plan geared towards reducing road crashes on the highway. World Day for Road Traffic Victims is set aside by the United Nations General Assembly to re-engineer the minds of road users across the globe. In Lagos, Diana Ajale, NTA News.
At nta.ng/live and on our other social media handles displayed on your screen for updates. Time for some messages, and when we return, Nationwide continues from our Sokoto Network Center, where Sadiat is standing by. Please stay.
Of Nigeria, in partnership with Edo Jobs, presents Nollywood Actors Summit 2022. Theme: Impact of Digital Technology on the Acting Profession. Date: 21st to 23rd November 2022. Venue: Victor Waifu Creative Hub, Benin City. Chief host: His Excellency Mr. Godwin Obasaki, Executive Governor of Edo State. Host: Chief HJC Emeka Rollers, NON, President, Actors Guild of Nigeria. The summit is a platform for intellectual discourse aimed at positioning the actor to tap into the opportunities of the emerging digital economy. For partnership and support, please call 0802 307 8087, 0802 459 9999. AGN, the show must go on.
The Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) hereby informs the general public that the preliminary register of voters will be displayed for public scrutiny in all registration areas, wards, nationwide, from Saturday 12th to Friday 18th November 2022. The preliminary register of voters will also be displayed on the Commission's official website. INEC will address the claims, objections, and complaints arising from the public scrutiny of the register at registration areas, wards, from Saturday 12th to Friday 18th November 2022, and at INEC local government offices from Saturday 19th to Friday 25th November 2022. All registered voters are advised to cross-check their details in the register. Any voter whose name and personal particulars are incorrect can file a claim. Furthermore, the public can file objections against any name wrongfully included in the register. This message is from the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC.
Dario Media, in association with Cabal Entertainment, presents The Candidate, a presidential town hall meeting series where the presidential candidates of the 6 leading political parties tell us about their plans for the country. Join Kadaria Ahmed as she leads us into the world of these candidates from the 17th to the 23rd of November 2022. This very important program will be streamed on FRCN, Radio Now, DSTV, NTA, Facebook, YouTube, and more. This is a town hall meeting you shouldn't miss. Tune in. Let's hear from the candidates.
Glad to have you join us in Sokoto. The House of Representatives Committee on Army, led by Abdulrazak Namdaz, has rated the performance of 8th Division Nigerian Army as high in terms of crime control and curtailing banditry within the zone. Namdaz was speaking when the House Committee on Army visited the 8th Division Nigerian Army, Sokoto. Sheikh Muhammad Dati has more.
It was member representing Wuruno Raba Federal Constituency, Ibrahim Al-Mustafa Raba, that represented House Committee Chairman on Army alongside other members of the committee. Though the members met with the General Officer commanding 8th Division Nigerian Army Sokoto and his principal officers behind closed doors, Al-Mustafa Raba briefed journalists after their meeting.
We're in Sokoto at 8th Division within their area of responsibility to oversight some of the projects they have executed so that it can shape our report and possible recommendation and passage of the 2023 budget of the Nigerian Army.
While appreciating the performance of the 8th Division Nigerian Army Sokoto, Al-Mustafa Raba affirmed that some of the 46 projects under the 8th Division are at various stages of completion, while others have been completed.
Well, within the areas of responsibility, we are able to be briefed and we are convinced with what we have seen so far in terms of project execution and the kinetic approach. They are able to achieve substantial success within the period of review. As we are aware, the issue of banditry, cattle rustling, and other heinous crimes bedeviling the subzone have subsided.
The House Committee on Army is on a nationwide oversight function of all army divisions and formations across the country. In Sokoto, Sheikh Muhammad Dati, NTA News.
The federal government has flagged off the distribution of food and non-food items to victims of flood disaster and other vulnerable persons in Zamfara State. The items were handed over to the Zamfara State government by the Director General of the National Emergency Agency in Gusau. Jamil Ibrahim has the report.
According to the 2022 data released by the Federal Ministry for Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development, more than 13,800 people were affected by flood this year in Zamfara State, resulting in loss of lives and property. It is against this backdrop that the National Emergency Management Agency, NEMA, is distributing relief items to the victims with a view to reducing their hardship. The relief materials, including food and non-food items, were formally handed over to Zamfara State government for onward distribution to the victims.
Our hope is that people are going to use it. Nobody should please go and sell it. Go and use it. This is not the first time, and it will not be the last time.
We have taken unnecessary measures to ensure that those food items we provide for our people will, inshallah, distributed equitably. We will not hesitate to sanction anyone found selfishly they are batting the communities.
The Emir of Gusau, Alhaji Ibrahim Bello, applauded the federal government for the timely intervention and enjoined the beneficiaries to make judicious utilization of the items. Zamfara State Deputy Governor Senator Hassan Muhammad performed the symbolic presentation of the items to some of the victims drawn from across the 14 local government areas of the state.
Very grateful for the kind gesture that they have shown us today. We pray that God Almighty will continue to promote them.
The relief items include 3,000 bags of assorted grains and 8,000 pieces of nylon mats, among other things. In Gusau, Jamilu Ibrahim. And that's it from Sokoto for now. Nationwide continues with Lami in Abuja.
Thank you so much, Sadia. In line with President Muhammad Buhari's commitment in fighting poverty in the country, 3,122 persons in Ebonyi State have benefited from the federal government special cash grant and enterprise empowerment program, JIP 2.0. Ijoma Peter Nwante, who witnessed the disbursement in the state, reports that the beneficiaries were full of appreciation to the federal government for the grant.
The 3,122 beneficiaries of the federal government special cash grant were drawn from the 13 council areas of Ebonyi State. The Minister for Humanitarian Affairs, represented by the Director of Planning Research Activities, Mr. Peter Nwapa, during the flag-off of the 20,000 naira cash grant to the persons considered to be poor and vulnerable groups in Ebonyi State, explained that the National Social Investment Program is aimed at lifting 100 million people out of poverty.
JIP is a program designed by Mr. President for the vulnerable and low-income Nigerians who are involved in some sort of commercial venture activity, they build capacity, but who had no opportunity to access loans from banks.
At least in Ebonyi State here, we have 23,000 youth who are benefiting from Empower. We have 64,000 pupils who are benefiting from the National Homegrown School Feeding.
Some beneficiaries who could not hide their joy said they will use the grant to improve their living standards.
I'm greeting federal government for what they don't do for us by giving us this money, farm people to give us this money to farm. I'm very, very grateful.
It helped me a lot to improve in my trading.
In Abakaliki, Ijoma Peter Nwante, NTA News.
Now, a high-powered committee of retired top brass across military and paramilitary agencies of the All Progressives Congress Presidential Campaign Security and Intelligence Directorate has been inaugurated. The committee, which has the mandate of designing and implementing all issues related to the peaceful and transparent process of the governing party campaign programs, has resolved to hit the ground running. The director of the committee, Major General Abdul Malik Jibril, says the committee is not unaware of the challenges that lie ahead and has therefore ensured strategies are mapped out to contain any rancor and disorder that might arise during the political exercise.
But the only thing is that we have not been able to come together like we have done today. And with this, it means that our activity has commenced in earnest, and it will be over and above what we have been doing before.
The committee promised to be meeting on a regular basis to review situations as they unfold towards preventive rather than a reactive approach. And in what can be described as a relentless determination by Nigeria to prevent her citizens traveling abroad without proper documentation, the Nigerian Immigration Service Kebbi State Command has continued to intercept victims and perpetrators of trafficking in persons. Usman Abdullahi Shehu this time reports that the command in Kebbi State intercepted and handed over 5 persons to the newly established NAPTIP office in the state.
In the space of 3 months, the men of the Nigerian Immigration Service Kebbi State Command have intercepted victims of human trafficking on 4 different occasions. The recent victims are Iyabo Yusuf, 31-year-old from Ondo State, Shukurat Mohammed, 21-year-old also from Ondo State, Lilian Enebele, 18 years old from Edo State, Oloru Tosin Fumilayo, also 18 years old, while Abdurrahman Abdullahi, a 40-year-old man, was suspected to be the guide of the 2 girls from the recent group who were intercepted at the Yauri border patrol. The victims were all intercepted traveling from Lagos State to Sokoto State, where they are expected to proceed to abroad. While handing over the victims to the NAPTIP Kebbi State office, the controller restated commitment to deal with perpetrators in accordance with the law.
The Nigerian Immigration Service will always go after you wherever you are and hand you over to NAPTIP so that the menace will reduce.
We are going to investigate more to see the level of involvement or how these young girls are being recruited.
In Birnin Kebbi, Usman Abdullahi Shehu, NTA News.
Now, a soldier under Operation Hatin Kai has shot and killed the staff of one of the non-governmental organizations providing humanitarian support in the Northeast. A statement by the Assistant Director, Army Public Relations, Major Nancy Psakam, says the soldier also killed one of his colleagues in the front lines and injured the co-pilot of one of the UN helicopters, leading troops on ground to immediately gun down the errant soldier. The injured co-pilot has been stabilized while the deceased have been evacuated to 7 Division Hospital. Investigation into the incident and subsequent remedial actions have commenced. With the successful rescue of 8 travelers from kidnappers along Calabar-Akampa-Ikam Highway, the Commissioner of Police in Cross River State, Suleiman Balarabi, says swift response to happenings and to the scene of the incidents led to the positive outcome in the rescue operation. Ode Alenyo reports.
As we come in, yes, we just see all of them. But they just come up for food. Come, they shoot anyhow.
That was the story of the kidnap incident on Monday, 14th November 2022 at about 4 o'clock along Calabar-Ikom Highway that filtered into this public space. In a swift response, less than 24 hours, about 7 tactical units of the Cross River State Police Command, led by the Commissioner of Police, stormed the scene of the incident and combed the surrounding forest where they rescued the 8 kidnapped persons.
And when we receive the information, we mobilize our tactical unit in the command. Even from that evening, they went to the place, combed the area, sweep the area.
The Commissioner of Police warned criminals, kidnappers and other miscreants to desist forthwith as strategic modalities have been put in place to check their activities and advise the public to promptly report suspected and unusual movements around their area to any security agency for prompt action. In Calabar, Ode Alenyo, NTA News.
A coalition of 56 women and children rights activists have mobilized human and material resources to pursue to its logical conclusion the case of alleged inhuman treatment of a housewife by her husband in Guru Town, Yobe State. This followed a recent footage circulating on the social media on the plight of the victim. Mustafa Yusuf has the details.
Residents of Nguru in Yobe State recently woke up to learn of a circulation of a pathetic video clip of a middle-aged housewife, Sadia, a mother of 4, alleged to have been locked down by none other but her husband for 1 year without food. The victim was reportedly rescued by her mother, who suspected foul play whenever she tried to reach her daughter on phone, and later traveled to Nguru from Kano to see things for herself. As she suspected, on getting to her daughter's house, found her in a life-threatening condition. Spokesman, Yobe State Police Command, DSP Dingus Abdul Karim, confirmed arrest of the suspect via a WhatsApp video made available to NTA News.
The purpose of all this is not known, but for now, the police have arrested Mr. Ibrahim and handed him over to the magistrate court.
Heeding to the call of mother of the victim on the government and other stakeholders to ensure justice to her daughter, Women rights groups have since swung into action to save the life of Sadia.
We will constitute a delegation that will visit her on her sick bed to assist her. Then from the legal aspect of it, we are now investigating to know how we are going to start pursuing her rights.
Investigation indicates that Sadia is now on admission at Aminu Kano Teaching Hospital receiving medical attention. In Damaturu, Mustafa Yusuf, NTA News.
Agatha is in Benin with more updates from that zone. Hello, Agatha. Thank you, Lami. A warm welcome to Benin. Our plans are underway to digitally document and preserve intangible cultural heritage of the ancient Benin Kingdom as the Institute for Benin Studies, through the support of IFRA Nigeria and Embassy of France in Nigeria, commences training for interns who will carry out the project. Judah Bugu has details.
Language, history, social practices and festivals are cultural expressions considered by UNESCO as intangible heritages. Their gradual loss has led to a global call for their urgent preservation. The Institute for Benin Studies is already working in this direction, thanks to a recent collaboration with IFRA Nigeria and French Embassy to digitally preserve intangible Benin heritage.
In Benin, you have rituals, you have rites. Then 2, ceremonies, Edo ceremonies. 3, songs in Edo will all be subsumed in a digital archive.
We think that the Edo culture is in danger of fading away, so we really would like to digitize this culture and the religion ceremony, the different aspect of this culture.
The project, which will make Benin intangible heritage easily transmissible and accessible to people around the world, is being lauded by Benin indigenes.
Most of the children we now have don't know anything about the culture, the rice, and all those things, the moonlight stories, and so on and so forth.
The history of Benin, what they are doing is a great thing.
Through the training, the interns selected from the field of sociology, anthropology, history, archaeology, religion, and linguistics will acquire the skills of digital documentation and archiving to be able to carry out the project effectively. In Benin, Jude Abugu, NTA News.
The National Youth Service Corps NYSC is assuring of maximum security for corps members nationwide, tasking them to remain diligent in their service to their fatherland. This assurance and admonition are coming on the heels of the visit of the NYSC National Governing Board to the orientation camp in Ikare Akoko, Ondo State. Toyin Batiri has the report.
The National Governing Board of the National Youth Service Corps, NYSC, was led by its chairman, Ambassador Fatima Bala Abubakar, to the NYSC orientation camp, Ikare Akoko, Ondo State. After inspection of some facilities at the camp, Ambassador Abubakar expressed satisfaction at the coordination at the camp, urging the corps members to be security conscious at all times and remain patriotic.
It's almost watertight kind of security because we cannot afford to take people's children and go and throw them into an electoral process and then something happens to them.
Discipline is neither compromised nor negotiated. As a matter of fact, discipline is our watchword. Corps members and camp officials conduct themselves well in a distinguished and reasonable manner at all times.
We want to assure you that we're going to make you proud throughout a period of service and in our service to our fatherland.
About 1,500 BASI Stream 1 corps members are currently undergoing 3-week orientation at the camp. The NYSC board members also had a forum with Ondo State government in Akure, where more collaborative issues were strengthened. In Akure, Toyin Batire, NTA News.
This is Nationwide. More reports from Felicia in Jos after this break. Stay with us.
A new edition of TV Guide is out, featuring an impeccable personality with purposeful leadership, Alhaji Mohammed Meitakobi, the Executive National President of Road Transport Employers Association of Nigeria.
In 774 local governments, will be able to put all our structures in everywhere. I'll be able to bring the Retians members together, reconcile them to come and work for the progress of the association.
Welcome to a world of fun and excitement as we also present an assemblage of professionals in the media space. Some compelling NTA programs, current trends in the fashion world, ICT, sports, entertainment, and lots more. Get a copy at the vendor near you or any NTA station nationwide. TV Guide, your indispensable companion.
Weekend File, your Saturday delight, going to places from the obscure to the hinterland and cities, bringing you development stories and perspectives, connecting the people with government and stakeholders on critical issues of our national life.
We are live in Abuja.
It's 9 p.m. every Saturday on the network service of the NTA. Weekend File, you can't afford to miss it.
Dario Media, in association with Cabal Entertainment, presents The Candidate, a presidential town hall meeting series where the presidential candidates of the 6 leading political parties tell us about their plans for the country. Join Kadaria Ahmed as she leads us into the world of these candidates from the 17th to the 23rd of November 2022. This very important program will be streamed on FRCN, Radio Now, DSTV, NTA, Facebook, YouTube, and more. This is a town hall meeting you shouldn't miss. Tune in. Let's hear from the candidates.
You think I don't know why you brought me to that place? You humiliate me?
Voila.
Hold me back there. Give me that. I spoke to her so sternly. It's broke. Women need a bit of tapping. Don't tell me you're one of those men that beat their wives.
You slapped me. Super story, super story, super story, super story.
Welcome to Jos. As the National Population Commission prepares for the head count in April 2023, which will be 17 years after the last head count in 2006, Plateau State's MPC office staged a roadwork to create awareness on the need for every Nigerian to be counted next year.
This roadwork to sensitize the public on the forthcoming population head count began from the old airport junction in Jos and ended at Secretariat Junction. The commissioner representing Plateau State in the National Population Commission, Cecilia Dapoid, said for a nation to be able to provide its citizens with the basic necessities, that nation must know its population so that it can forecast its development for the next generation.
People need to be really aware, and we are going to do a digital census. People should have trust
in what we are going to do.
Plateau State Director, National Orientation Agency, Kanem Panwuru, added that as part of their collaboration with the National Population Commission, they will mobilize the citizens in all the 17 local government areas of Plateau State to ensure they are counted during the 2023 population and housing census.
Nigerians need to know what government policy is, what government program is forthcoming. That is why we've been invited into this work. We are collaborating so that we work together.
The commissioner said the portal for the recruitment of artwork staff is open, urging youth to avail themselves the opportunity to contribute to national development.
Ahead of 2023 general elections, General Officer Commanding 3 Division of the Nigerian Army, Major General Ibrahim Ali, is asking officers and men of the 3 Division to be visionary, disciplined, and exhibit professionalism in their conduct. He stated this in Jos while addressing the newly promoted officers. Belkis Nuhu reports.
Addressing the officers and men of the Nigerian Army, the General Officer 3 Division reminded them of the vision of the Chief of Army Staff geared towards achieving all missions in defense of Nigeria, urging the officers to sustain hard work, dedication, and commitment to service. He notes that the country is marching towards conducting another general election. As a result, the Major General urged them to exhibit professionalism in their conduct.
A lot of the work of a commander or a leader, especially military or paramilitary agencies, is taking decision. Having the knowledge to know what decision to take matters also. The election is by the corner. Ensure that we have a fair, peaceful election. Develop yourself, like I said, and be in a position to take the right and good decisions.
The officers expressed appreciation to the commander for his professional advice, promising not to let him down in their duties. In Jos, Bilkis Nuhu, NTA News.
And that's it from Jos. It's back to you, Lami, in Abuja.
Thank you, Felicia. Now, the Independent National Electoral Commission, in accordance with the 2022 Electoral Act, has displayed voters' register in all electoral wards of Taraba State for registered voters to cross-check their names and particulars ahead of the 2023 general elections. Godwin Inaligu, who monitored the exercise, has the story.
Saturday, August 12, 2022, INEC displayed voters' register in all the electoral wards in Jalingo local government area. A visit to some of the wards showed some registered voters coming out to check their names and the polling units there to cast their ballot. At Kachala Simbe ward, Eric Elkana and Emmanuel Davis Sakaz said they came to check for their name and collect their card, but could not find them.
They said the first week of December before all of them will be available.
An INEC registration area officer, Rikia Habib Meyaki, told NTN News that the one-week display of voter register will end on 19th November 2022, while hearing of claims and objections will commence on 20th November 2022.
So far, people have been coming to check for their names and make the necessary inquiries. We've not received any objections, but as of claims, some people used to come and complain, I saw my name, but my card is not here.
Rikia further said those who registered in the last registration exercise but could not get their card will have them in December this year. In Jalingo, Godwin Inaligu, NTN News.
Now, Twitter office buildings have been reportedly closed to reopen on 21st November, while badge access is currently suspended. This follows reports that hundreds of Twitter employees have resigned en masse. The new Twitter owner, Elon Musk, had issued an ultimatum for employees to either commit to his hardcore Twitter 2.0 policy, where they had until 2 p.m. on Thursday, 17th November, to select yes on a Google form to the question of whether they wanted to stay on for Twitter's exciting journey or take a severance and transition away from the company. Rather, employees began posting farewell messages. It is said that Elon Musk and his leadership team were frightened that employees would attempt to sabotage the company, so they were fighting out the employees to cut access for. Sports update is next.